My name is Linda Bash, and I'm president of the National Council for Research on Women, and I want to welcome you to our first Women in Business series, sponsored by Accenture. And before we get started, let me begin with some thank yous. First, I want to thank you all for getting here now and joining us for today. And I want to thank our sponsors for making all of this possible. I want to thank LeMay Allen DeYoung, who is here with us as a resource from Accenture. And I want to thank Roxanne Taylor, Susan Bruiser, and Stacy Jones, who's the Director of Corporate Communications for Accenture, and she's going to say a few words in a few moments. This is one of our efforts to partner with folks in the corporate arena to create knowledge and information to drive change and to build innovative alliances to achieve that change. I want to also thank Prudential Financial and Chubb Corporation for their sponsorship for today. And two of the people from both Prudential and Chubb were honorees at our dinner for Women Making a Difference this past year. Sharon Taylor from Prudential and Sunita Holzer, who's been a long-term member of our Corporate Circle Advisory Board. It's such a privilege to be here with all of you today, and I'm assuming that most of you know who we are at the Council, but let me just say that we're a network of 120 women's research and policy centers located across the country, and we've had the good fortune to partner with a number of corporations in trying to create change along lines of diversity and inclusion. Today is part of an effort to expand some of our corporate circle efforts and to move into developing a speakers bureau of women leaders from the corporate arena and our member centers to share their extraordinary knowledge with a wider audience. So today is going to be a little bit of a sample of what future programming might look like. We're looking very forward to starting a speakers bureau in which we'll perhaps be calling on many of you to go out and talk about some of your experiences as well in the corporate space and impart your knowledge. I want to thank Anna Duarte McCarthy for agreeing to lead the discussion and to all of our other corporate circle participants. Today, we're going to address the current landscape for diversity of talent and for diversity initiatives in light of the prolonged financial crisis, the reverberations from which we're feeling around the world. And some of the people here joined me for a similar panel at the Rainbow Push Wall Street Economic Summit in January. The impact of the current economic crisis has been a growing concern of our corporate circle. And as we found out earlier in the year from a meeting we had with our Global Leadership and Diversity Forum, we think that now is a good time to take a second reading and see what, if anything, has changed over the past 6 months. Is the business case for diversity as strong as ever? How can we ensure that diversity is viewed as a worthwhile investment and not a secondary expenditure? Are there new unforeseen challenges in the current economic crisis, and how are its effects being felt in different companies? What are the strategies for improving mentorship, networking, and other tools and best practices? And how do we keep our resolve and resiliency through all this? These are some of the things that we'll be focusing on today. It's now my great privilege to introduce the chair of our Corporate Circle Advisory Board, Melinda Wolf. Melinda is head of professional development at Bloomberg LP. I expect she does not need much of an introduction to this audience. She's had a tremendous impact on diversity initiatives at Goldman Sachs, at American Express, and throughout our corporate circle. And today, I know that we're going to come away with some of what Melinda insists we always have at the end of our meetings: best practices and lessons learned for takeaways. I'm sure that there will be many takeaways from today. So Melinda, thank you very much. I'm going to turn the program over to you. As you see, we have a number of exciting things planned for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I got it. Thank you, Linda. One of the interesting things about any program that the National Council does is that there's so many interesting people who are networked in to our community, and they all have something great to say. So I'm going to be brief because you're going to have a lot of other people saying really, I think, important things. I want to thank you all for joining us. What is unique and different about today is that the corporate circle often brings together people of like minds, which is to say people who work in corporate arenas who are dealing with a lot of these topical issues. The National Council for Research on Women really consists of a broader array of really incredible people, and that's what's been always a motivating force in my staying connected with this organization, because there are people from the academic arena, nonprofit arena, and it is really wonderful to have that interface. So that today's program is important in that we're starting off with the strengths of the corporate circle, but we're going into the conference that really is including a much broader array of people, some of whom are here right now, and I'm really glad to bring these groups together. I would just say for the moment, it's a good time to take a pause this morning and really look at where we are. We have a few hints of recovery. We still have lots of wreckage that we're all dealing with. It is an opportunity to really reflect on how the economy has played out with respect to diversity in all of our environments. It's also a great time to envision how to rebuild, because we've had kind of more of an open field right now as we build up and come back to really say, how can we do it right this time? Oftentimes we've seen economies have difficult impacts, and we haven't really harnessed the energy of that time to say, now when we're back to growing and rehiring, how are we going to make sure we make an impact as far as creating an inclusive environment? So I think that's going to be an important thing. And I just hope that you leave today feeling a little bit more call to action, given all that's going on and the opportunities we have ahead in these difficult times, and refreshed in your missions to do what we all try to do in terms of having an impact on diversity and creating more inclusive environments. So thank you very much. And I want to introduce Stacy Jones, who is the Corporate Communications Director at Accenture.
Thank you. And like Melinda, I'm going to be brief, but I might even be a little briefer. But I'm most delighted today just to be here to extend a warm welcome on behalf of Accenture, and particularly our 60,000 women who right now are working and living in communities around the world. And it's so important to be part of this. We've long admired the National Council. We've had a great relationship and partnership with them. And they have a vision, they have a commitment, and they really do make a difference for women and for all of us. And I think right now they have an even bigger opportunity to do that, and that's part of why we're here today. So in closing, I just want to say we're grateful for this opportunity to lend our voice and our support to this very important agenda. And we hope that each of you walk away with a renewed inspiration and energy for the challenges ahead. So enjoy the day, and thanks again. I'll turn it over to our panel now. We'll get started.